Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jamie MacDonald here. Just had to swing in and do this quick video because I am so freaking pumped and excited about what I'm going to talk about today. Definitely something that might not appeal to everyone, but I know that there is a large segment of our community that is probably really interested in seeing what I have to say about this product. And the product is the new 300mm f4 Pro. Yes, it's big. It's not really a small lens, and we'll go into that in detail in a little bit here. But so I've only had this for 2 days. I got this on Friday. Today is Sunday. Got it Friday. Saturday I had to go in and do some work at my day job. As soon as I got out of work, I rushed home, picked up my wife, and we drove about an hour and a half north of our home to an area where there have been a lot of snowy owl sightings. And that was one of the reasons I was hoping to get my hands on this, is because photographing snowy owls is not something where you're in close proximity to the animals. They're several hundred yards away from the roads where you'd be driving to try to find them. So average shot, I think, from the ones that I took are going to be probably 500 or 600 feet, several hundred yards off of the road. So not by any means close. So having the 300mm, and actually I've got the MC14 teleconverter on too, so that puts it at 420mm at f5.6. That's just ridiculously long. And my experience with it right out of the gate was it's pretty incredible. The image stabilization that's built into the lens works in conjunction with the 5-axis image stabilization in the EM1, the EM5 Mark II, which I'm using to record this video, and the new Pen F, which I have not shot with yet, but I'm sure that's coming before too long. So in tandem with the higher end cameras, the image stabilization in the camera works in conjunction with the lens, so you've got multiple moving elements to keep everything stabilized. And I let a friend shoot with this today when I was shooting bald eagles, and I think he was pretty floored when he put it up to his eye. And again, at 420mm hand holding, I don't care how steady you are, there is shake, and at 420mm it is magnified intensely. So when you have it up to your eye and then you have shutter press to get focus lock and activate image stabilization, because I have it set up so that I see the image stabilization in here, everything just stops moving. It's crazy. So I'll share some images. First I'll share a couple snowy owl images. I really only have seen, we saw 2 owls. I'll share 2 images. They're the 2 best images that I got, because another thing about snowy owls is they're not super active flyers. They spend a lot of time in rest. They expend energy just to hunt. So they tend to be sleepy. They tend to sit on the ground a lot. They're not something that you would see sitting in trees all the time, especially where I was at photographing them in large open fields. So again, the 2 images. The first one, this one right here, this is a male snowy owl. This is a handheld shot, again at 420mm, so it's the 300mm f4 with the MC14 teleconverter attached. Handheld in absurd winds. The region where this was shot, there are tons of wind turbines because it is one of the windiest areas in Michigan. So there are sustained winds that day in the 25-mile-an-hour range. So it was really, really windy. It was shaking the car when my wife was waiting for me while I was outside shooting. So handheld for that shot of the male. This shot of the female that I'm sharing, she was a little bit further out. She was probably the furthest out, so she was probably 600 feet out. And this one was not handheld. This one was on a tripod. But again, I left image stabilization turned on for this shot because even though I was on a tripod, the wind was just too much to contend with, and I was shaking all over the place. The rest of the images that I took of the owls, they're all very similar to these 2 shots. There might be some with eyes a little more open or a little squinted closed more, or their head turned one way or the other, but the 2 shots that I chose to share are just ones where you've got a direct view of their face, so those are why I shared those. And then we'll move on to today's shooting. I went to a metro park that's well known for all kinds of wildlife, and there are a pair of bald eagles that are there that have taken over a blue heron nest, and I was really excited to get a chance to take the 300 there to hopefully see the eagles, and you'll be able to see from the series of shots that I'm going to show that they were there, and I got to test out something that a lot of people have been asking for that I hadn't done previously because, well, number one, I suck at it completely bad, but number two, never had a good subject to work with it on. So the first series of photos that I'm going to show, and I'm just going to show like 3 or 4 of this sequence. There were 12 shots in total in the sequence, and this is of a bald eagle returning to the nest with some nesting material. Handheld, 420 millimeters, f5.61 2,000th of a second, because it was, even though it was overcast, it was fairly bright. And this is with focus tracking on. And that was the thing that a lot of people asked me to talk about, and I hate to share any focus tracked shots that I do, because in all honesty, I think focus tracking a bird in flight is as much about technique as it is about the gear. I think once you've initially got lock on a subject, a lot of it just comes down to being able to track and keep your tracking box on target, and I just stink at it. But I have 2 different sets that turned out just like this one I'm sharing with you right now, and this one again was a 12 shot series, and these were all right on the money. I was so blown away when I got home and started viewing these, magnified on my iMac, that I knew I had to put together this video and share my experiences. So focus tracking with the 300mm f4, even for someone who has no set good technique in place for doing it, it made it a breeze. It was just the hardest part initially for me was to just, for one thing, because it's 420 millimeters, you're so far out there, trying to find my subject. That's where the red dot sight that Olympus makes would be like the bomb. But so I spent a couple of seconds, as the eagle was on approach, like pulling my eye up and then just kind of looking like this to try and make sure that I was getting squared up right. And then once I got the eagle in the focus box, the tracking box, and did my half shutter press to get focus lock, it tracked him incredibly well. I was just totally freaking floored. So now I want to go out birding more. I'm not really like a big hardcore birder, but when you have equipment that allows you to do the kind of shooting that I did today, I can see where the draw is, because there's nothing cooler than following something as majestic as an eagle on its flight path as it returns to its nest, with all this debris trailing from its talons, for building its nest. I was just like, I'm getting goosebumps because it was so cool to do. So again, that's just like how I do all my videos. It's just a motion driven, user based review of the 300mm f4 Pro. I know it's not the cheapest lens out there, but man, you get what you pay for. It's like with anything else. I know people gripe, that like the Voigtlander lenses, they're like $1,000, $900, and it's not even autofocus, but you're paying for a specific build or technology, and you get what you pay for. The 75 to 300 up there, yes, it's 300mm like this. It's not as fast of an aperture. The glass isn't, the construction isn't the same. It's not weather sealed. It's not, mine isn't. It's not the same thing. So when people say that's like over $2,000, you're getting $2,000 worth of lens, hands down. I mean, compare it to like something, whatever the Canon or Nikons are that are like 600mm f4s. Those are like 4 or 5 times as much as this. And in all honesty, just getting those shots, some of those were like really important to me kind of shots to be able to create. It's the kind of stuff, you open up books and see and you're like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. And to think that I could do that, like I did that because of this piece of equipment. So justifiable in my mind. If you're a nature photographer, this is something that needs to be on your list. So man, like I always do, fire your questions at me. Be glad to talk about it. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have this lens. Olympus sent it to me, and I don't know if it's a forever loan or if it's a Jamie, you need to hurry up and send that back loan. So get the questions into me while I got it, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Give me the thumbs up. If I'm too hyper, tell me to tone it down. Sorry, I'm just pumped up because I did a lot of good shooting with this lens today. And if you know somebody who might be interested in this lens, send them this way so that they can hear, you know, what an enthusiastic photographer thinks about it. Until the next video, you guys take care, and thanks for watching the videos as always. Peace out.